So I'm in the mood to change things up. I don't know if it's because we're heading into autumn or fall, but something about how the space is currently laid out just isn't working. I've been spending a little more time in the space, working at the wheel, starting to organize my tools and such, and I think that there's two things really that are bothering me. The first one is it is a pretty narrow studio. It's more of an elongated rectangle or long corridor. And having all the furniture alongside each side of the wall on the left or the right side just adds even more to this tunnel effect, and it just makes the space feel very narrow. The second thing is I feel like it feels too cluttered. There's just too much stuff that doesn't go together, and I kind of like the idea of coming into a space where it feels like it's a blank slate, and I'm quite sensitive to visual clutter. I don't know if it's because I have ADHD or if it's just because I'm sensitive to visual clutter. But the fact is, I need better organization, I need better storage, and I need a better way to organize and hide what is visually cluttering. So I'm in the mood right now to move some furniture around, and yeah, you can watch me move stuff around. Before that though, maybe I should give you a little tour, like a visual of what the space is looking like currently. When you walk into this space, this is what it looks like. We have this big empty space right by the doors. The idea was to have a display shelf with all my finished pieces on that wall, as well as have a large shelf here from pillar to pillar that would be a working shelf. I say it's supposed to be because currently there is no shelf. I'm having an issue with my contractor. We're working on that, so we're gonna have to do a temporary solution. Next, if we move on to here, we have the main wheel working station. I had built this planning on using it as a way to face the wall and to be able to put tools and water, etc. on this bench, but the height isn't the best, and I just don't really enjoy working facing this wall, so I'm going to switch that up. I've also tried having my wheel facing the doors there, but I'm not sure I also like that setup. I place this mirror here currently because I'm thinking of having a larger mirror, like say here or floor to here, that would be able to reflect the doors that are behind, so that I'd be able to reflect more light in the space. Because my issue with lighting is I really only have light coming from these doors as well as the back end. And I feel like this middle area is quite dark. If I could get some light to reflect in this mirror, as well as use the mirror for my work, because when you're working on a wheel, it's really helpful to see the reflection of your piece so that you can look at the profile of the piece without bending over. If some of your ceramicists, you might be familiar with that technique. And also it might make the space look bigger. These tables are my big workbench tables. I ignore the fact that these are stained and this is warped. I'm going to change these tops. These are just cheap plywood for now. You can beat the hell out of these tables. They can hold up to 600 kilos each. So this is where I do all the dirty work and heavy work. But I don't like having this here currently. Something just doesn't feel right. So I'm going to be moving these tables around. I do have clay bags underneath holding the tables down, so that also helps with wedging clay. I don't like the fact that I can see the clutter under the tables, and I'm not a fan of seeing the clutter under the kitchenette area too. So we're going to be figuring out a way to store that better. And then we have these IKEA shelves that are temporary because the idea was everything that I'm using this shelf for was supposed to be the large shelf that I have over there. But since that's going to have a lot of delay in being delivered, I'm going to be using this shelf as my temporary solution. However, it just looks really messy. I feel like when you look at it, you don't really understand how everything is set up. So I want to reorganize all of this, maybe hide some of the clutter and such, and also make more space for more pieces and more work. So let's break the layout apart and see what it looks like if we break this tunnel design. Okay. Hey, I wanted to sit down and update you guys on some design ideas for the space. I've got my computer here with me to share some images with you guys. When designing or renovating a space, I find it incredibly helpful to have all of your images and ideas organized in one place. Especially in a renovation project, I find that there's a huge to-do list. There's so much decision making that needs to be done. And sometimes it takes a while before the space looks like anything. In my case, it was really chaotic before the space really looked anything close to the final design. Even till this day, I feel like I'm still struggling to keep up with the to-do list that I have after renovating the space. And so to keep my thoughts organized, I use Milanote, who is the sponsor of today's video and also happens to be the very first sponsor of this channel. Milanote is a tool for organizing your creative projects. It's like an online canvas designed to help you plan, brainstorm, and collaborate on ideas. So this is kind of like my dashboard. I like to use it to stay organized in the studio. It helps me track various to-do lists that I have going on at a time. Right now, I'm tracking some pending deliveries, and I have this huge list of renovation tasks to go through. One thing that's been keeping me sane through the renovation project is to have a vision board that I keep going back to. I mean, I love spending time collecting images on Pinterest. I spend so much time on Instagram as well, saving pins and creating collections. But I find that after looking at too many inspirational images, I can kind of start losing track of the direction that I want for a space. And so I like to come back to this vision board that I've made that I know has captured the essence of the project's direction. The idea with the vision board is you kind of want to create a curated board with a limited amount of images and ideas that you know all fit the project's direction. You don't want to be overwhelmed with too many photos that you find are inspirational, but you're not sure exactly how it works with your project. So this was the vision board that I made when I started the renovation project. I've already talked about some of these images in a previous video that you can go check out. These are essentially all the images that I've been referencing when I felt a little lost or I needed a little kick of inspiration. I know that every image that I've put in this board just feels right to me. me fits the studio's direction, and these are images that I've been coming back to time and time again throughout the last few months. I can also share my boards with friends and collaborate with them in real time. Sharing my mood boards with my contractor was actually extremely helpful to make sure that we were all on the same page. And by the way, if you're a visual person like me and want to use Milanote for planning your own creative projects, you can sign up for free using the link in the description box. With all this said, I find that since I've moved into the space, now that we're done with construction work, I've kind of changed my mind on certain things. I think that this happens a lot when you're moving into a new space. You can spend a lot of time thinking about it, dreaming about it, organizing it in your head, but once you start living in the space, you kind of get a better understanding of the spaciousness, how you move around in the space, as well as the light, how the light changes throughout the day and the seasons. And so, as a result, I have made a new vision board. I do still have some images from my last vision board, just because there's some design elements that I'm happy with, that I definitely don't want to change. But I think the main difference is I'm feeling like the space needs to be a bit more minimal, a bit more airy, a bit more light. I think there's also more emphasis on contrast, so modern touches versus traditional elements. I think that until now, I've been gravitating more towards materials that feel really heavy, or more traditional elements such as keeping the old doors, thrifting a vintage table, working with brick. And I think I need to gravitate towards more airy and modern touches, materials that reflect, for example, such as glass or glossy tiles. Maybe fabric as well is something that I'm thinking about. Another thing I want to share with you guys is, aside from creating vision boards, I also like to create what I call material boards. It's basically where I bring in images of objects that I find around the internet, and I want to see if it makes sense with the rest of the space. So every time I'm thinking of adding a new material, I bring it into the board to see if it fits with the overall narrative. Right now I'm contemplating adding fabric to the space to help with minimizing visual clutter in the studio. So I've been looking for dead stock fabric that I can use. I also really like this idea by Frama, that's a design studio in Copenhagen. They're kind of using eyelets that they've put into pieces of canvas. So instead of having curtains that move left and right, you just hook and unhook the corners of this canvas material. I'm also looking into maybe incorporating fabric as a way to delineate different zones in the space. I'm not really sure yet what I want to do with this, but it is an idea that I've been thinking about. Milanote also has over hundreds of templates for you to choose from for every type of creative project. It's perfect for creative professionals, for teams, or creative hobbyists. Whether you're planning a home renovation or you're designing a product, you can adapt it to your needs. Milanote is available for free with no time limit. You can sign up for free using the link in the description box below. Thank you so much, Milanote, for sponsoring today's video.